We are so happy. It's beautiful to have her in our midst, and it's wonderful to hear her speak, talk to us, and share wonderful ideas, share experience and her wealth of knowledge with us. So I would say, just get ready. You're going to have a beautiful time today. The Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited, if you don't know, is a company owned by the Nigerian government. They manage the communication satellites network in Nigeria. So you can check them out and you would understand why it's very good to have her in our midst today. So please, let's give it a round of applause to our committee and our international coordinator ensuring that she's here in our midst. So I would want to recognize everyone. Later, I will do it very well and more coordinated. We want to have a full list so we don't miss anyone out. But because we want to take the lecture quickly, we would want to have our citation. Please pardon me, if you're not here called, you'll still be called, but we want to do things fast. Thank you very much. Let's have the citation for Engineer Nkechi Jane Egerton-Idehen. It's going to be taken by Pastor Nnamdi Eziokwu. So let's take him.
Good afternoon, everyone. All right, good morning, everyone. I want the day to run so fast, so I'm already in the afternoon. You're welcome. Please tighten your seatbelts as we take this auto cruise of a lecture. Please, Ma, may we, with your honor, can you rise? All right. Engineer Mrs. Jane Egerton-Idehen is a visionary engineer, business leader, and passionate advocate for women in technology. In October 2023, she was appointed Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, marking another milestone in a career that spans over 2 decades in the global telecommunications industry. Jane's journey has taken her through senior leadership roles at some of the world's leading technology companies, including Meta, formerly Facebook, Avanti Communications, Nokia, Siemens, and Ericsson. Across these roles, she has built a reputation for excellence, leading diverse teams, driving innovation, and accelerating growth in highly competitive markets. Beyond the boardroom, Jane is deeply committed to advocacy. She is the author of the book, Be Fearless, Give Yourself Permission to Be You, a powerful book that encourages women to embrace their potential and pursue careers in male-dominated fields and industries. Her tireless work in supporting women in STEM has earned her national recognition, including being named one of Nigeria's 50 leading ladies in corporate world in Nigeria. In Night Concert, Jane is driving digital transformation and leveraging satellite technology to bridge Nigeria's digital divide. She has introduced initiatives such as the Nightcom SAT Accelerator Program to foster innovation and entrepreneurship in satellite communications, while also forging strategic partnership with governments, international organizations, and private companies. Under her leadership, NIGECOMSAT is positioned to become a key player in Africa's space and communications landscape. Jane Egerton-Idehen embodies resilience, vision, and fearless leadership. Her journey inspires a new generation to dream boldly, break barriers, and blaze their own trails. In summary, many have been seen to use one hand effectively. There are also ambidextrous human beings who have used 2 hands effectively. But it appears that in the case of Jane Egerton-Idehen, she has used more than 2 hands effectively. Beginning with family life, to industry, to our commitment to the kingdom of Jesus Christ on the earth. Our own product, engineer Mrs. Jane Egerton-Idehen, has borne CASOR image of transformation and inspiration throughout the entire world, especially with her niche in the communication industry. Ladies and gentlemen, we introduce someone we don't know, but we present the person we already know. So many of us know her, so many have been influenced by her life and career. Please, with a standing ovation and joyful gladness, may we receive the person, and in this case, the ministry of our own product, Engineer Mrs. Jane Egerton-Idehen. Can you keep clapping, please? Can you keep clapping, please? Keep clapping until she gets here.
Thank you so much. Laptop. Thank you so much. Please be seated. Please be seated. Thank you. A lot of people asked me why I had to come all the way. I keep saying Nsukka needs an airport. It will make it easier for us to come and go. And if you want to know why I chose to come, it's all there. I'm very active on social media. For those that follow me, I'll put the whole story out there. It's there both on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I think I've tried to share as much as I can. But I truly want to appreciate today. I want to appreciate today, starting from the organizing committee. I think this was an excellent put together work. Let's appreciate them, yes. Thank you so much. Bro Jaja, I can see your hand. Kingsley as well, I know he's not here, but he sends his regards. I tried to get him, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. I really want to thank the senior friends as well. I know they're all seated here. I know a lot of this took place because of you. So really thank you for coming all the way. I really appreciate having all of you guys here. When they told me to, actually it was Bro Kingsley that convinced me I have to come and do this session. When I was in CASOR, by the way, most people didn't know me. Okay, it used to be in Kechi Amadi, so maybe the name will stick. It was Sister Kechi. At some point, I used to be the mommy for Bello Hall. I still find it strange when I say mommy for Bello Hall. But that was, I moved around a lot because engineering, I did 5 years, but I landed and ended after moving around, I ended at Bello Hall. So Kingsley was one of the presidents during my tenure. Was talking to me about, I should come and do this. Of course, I definitely wanted to. I didn't need convincing. But when he told me about the topic, I was taken aback. I'm like, I know it's going to be a mixed crowd. Talk about AI and technology. Definitely, I'm passionate about it. But I was like, wow, would that be worth it for the crowd? Would it make some sense for the crowd? But I chose to do it after a WhatsApp message last week. Please, could you put on the next slide? And that's the WhatsApp message. That's my mom. She's 83. And by the way, you know when she's 83, you know what I mean? So my mother, she didn't go to university, but she's one of those that did the shorthand, Pittman shorthand, because she was training to be a secretary, which was her first job. She also learned to use the typewriter. In those days, it's words per minute. How many words per minute can you type? So even she tried to teach me the typewriter as well. But unfortunately, computers came and I didn't need to. I was so happy. I could use one hand. But that was an exchange I had with her last week. And I said, no way. That if my mom, by the way, you could tell. So I said my name is Nkechi. You see, when your mother sends you, good afternoon, Nkechi, how are you doing? I know there's some things happening. So I respond, I said, Mom, fine. I call her Ma, that's the Igbo word for mother. She says, thank God. And I asked her, how are you doing, because I'm like, what's up? She must be, reaching out for something. And look at what she asked me. She said, please tell me, is it good for a student to use AI for the assignment? My mother is 83. By the way, my mother is Catholic. She is very hyperactive like myself. She's everywhere. So she's a St. Jude member, Laity member, second, she goes for all their trainings. So I could get the context because she was already telling me like some days before she was doing a training, and this training in church is so good and whatever. So when she tells me that, I could understand where she was going. So I quickly replied and told her you can use it for research. Then I said, no, I better explain what I mean so you can see what I said. Don't copy everything verbatim. So for students trying to use ChatGPT, I'm just giving you a heads up. Don't copy everything verbatim. Use it for research. But after this exchange, I said I was going to share it. I thought, then there's no reason why I shouldn't talk about this. I think you need to know about it. I'm good at sharing this in very techy scenarios, but I said no. I will come and share. So I've decided this public lecture into 3 phases. And the way I put it is that I'm telling 3 stories. I like telling stories. And I'm hoping that if you don't remember anything, remember those stories. I'm very sure you know the stories. But it will help you put into context what I would share. So I would start by talking a bit about whatever it is, this technology we are talking about. AI, emerging technologies, that's robotics and IoTs. I'll share a bit about the trends and insight about the technology. I will close it with a story. Then I'll really go and talk about the role or the impact in society, how we see it today. So I will use some use cases and I would frame it. I'm sounding like a lecturer now. So there are different ways to talk about AI, emerging technology. We can talk about it horizontally. That means building it. So it's like your computer, the iOS in your computer. So we only have like Google, or you use Google Play, or you use the Apple Store. So talking about the iOS, but you can also talk about the applications. So I will talk about the applications, how it will be used, or how it can be used in different sectors. So that's how I will frame it. Then finally, I would end that with a story. Then I will finally go for the last, which is some of the concerns we've had and what I believe should be your response and how you could react to it. So those are my 3 stories. So you won't forget them, isn't it? 3 stories. You probably already know them. So when I was told that topic, I think what really came to my mind, and you could see it there, I thought, oh, this is just the children of Issachar. You're Bible scholars, so you definitely know 1 Chronicles 12. When it was time for David to be crowned. It was clear. All the signs were there. The soldiers were defecting and all leaving Saul and going to David. And in Chronicles 12, 1 Chronicles 12, the Bible was giving details about the type of soldiers. Those are good in sword, good in this, good in that. But for the men of Issachar, he said they knew the understanding of the times and what Israel should do. Now, some scholars claim that it meant that they were good military strategists. But good military strategists would mean you understand strategy or how, to do something. But he said they knew the understanding of the times. So I felt like they must have some kind of great intelligence about trends, insight, and how to apply it and respond. So just in case this topic is too technical for you, just think about the men of Issachar. That is what we are decoding today. So let's start with trying to explain what these terms are. If you go to 2 more slides, sorry. Who is helping me? You need to move my slides. No, not that one. Just after my mother, the slide there, artificial intelligence. Good. Because I wanted to explain those terms. I don't want to assume, we are engineers, we tend to believe everybody's techie. So I will step it down and let's just explain what this is. Since inception, humans have tried to be God. And it just means we just try to create, We have always tried to assume the creator or create something that could be that superior. We've never really made it, but we've always come close. You can think of the Tower of Babel. But what we did with artificial intelligence, we will say we took the capability of computational systems, that's mathematics, and we are trying to simulate human intelligence. You know the way you recognize patterns, you read data, you'll be like, this lady goes here every day. She might have a friend that lives there. That's what we were trying to do. We're trying to use systems, computer systems, to simulate the way humans will learn, read patterns, adapt. We are trying to simulate what we call voice recognition or speech recognition. The way you will hear and you'll be like, this is Chiamaka's voice, or this person is from Kanu or from the north. We're trying to simulate visual perception. The way you see, that's all we're trying to do with all these devices. We call them IoT, Internet of Things. In AI, we are reading and trying to read data and make decisions. That's what humans did. You accumulate data, you see, observe, hear, feel, then you make a call. So that's all we've been trying to do for a while. And now we landed with artificial intelligence. We landed with sensory systems called IoT. IoT just means they are trying to simulate human senses, motion, touch, sight. Just think of all your senses. We are looking for digitized systems that can do something similar. So that's all we were trying to do. But the interesting thing about is where we landed next, please, is the fact that in technology, when we introduce a new technology, we check what we call the adoption curve. Those in mathematics is a curve. That means the amount of people that take it on the first time and how fast they take it on. Now, when it's very fast, very steep, we say it's an emerging technology. So it has the ability to disrupt because there are so many people trying to understand, do it, because it's impacting a lot of things. Now, with AI, we have never seen an adoption like that. And I'll put it in context. When they launched ChatGPT in 2021, in 5 days, they had 1 million users. In 2.5 months, they had 100 million users globally. To put it in context, when they launched Netflix, we know Netflix, isn't it? It took 3.5 years to get 100 million users. Instagram, social media, everybody knows it. It took 2.5 years to get 100 million users. It took ChatGPT 2.5 months. That's when we know that this is an emerging technology that is disruptive and has the potential to do a lot. Just to put you in context in terms of what we are seeing. The same thing for the other, so when things take that type of trend, we call them emerging technology. So we say they're disruptive because they will destroy a lot of the ways we see things, plan things, do things, and you tend to see it. So a good one is robotics. You must have been hearing about it. 2024, we had about 3.9 million counted robots globally. 70% of the world's robots is used between China, Japan, and South Korea. A peculiar kind of robots we have is what they call cobots. So these are service robots. They're very, they're widely used in the US and in Germany. I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, I was flying from Ireland in Europe. And I had to stay in the lounge, where you wait for your next, you fly to Amsterdam to Lagos. So waiting for my next flight. So in the lounge, they can serve you food, serve you food and drinks. And normally human beings will come and serve you, or you go and take for yourself. But when I came 2 weeks ago, they had robots. And not like robots that look like human beings. It looked like a square box with layers. It was going around. Why do we call them robots? It can sense. So if I'm in the way, it will move or it will stop and take a different way. It knows the pathway. And when it's going around, it's making announcements. It has like a speaker. So it's saying things like, Nkechi Amadi, please go to gate 36. Your flight is boarding. Something like that. It has layers at the back. So after you've eaten, your cups and plates or whatever, you can put it there. It's like there to take it, not a human being. So that's what we call cobots, service robots. They are very, very common in China. They serve you food in your canteen. They move things around. So they're very common. They don't look like humans. Sometimes like a square rectangular box. But I'm saying this so that you understand that this technology is already in use. Don't think it's far off. A very common one you see is the one I put there. IoTs, Internet of Things as we call them. They're everywhere. Anything you hear smart, there's a tendency is using what we call IoT. So when you hear smart homes, smart cities, smart agriculture. So a great example, I put that one, is the smart homes, quite common. These days, using your phone, so an app, you could control your house. So the curtains, you can move the curtains. So there'll be a motor that over the internet, that little electronic device on the curtain is talking to your phone over the internet. So with that, you can switch on the lights of your house off or on from your office. You could switch off the AC. So abroad, what people use it for when it's winter, before you leave the office, you switch on the heater in your house remotely. Before you drive into the gate, you can open your gate just by pressing an app on your phone. So that's what IoT does. It's just, think about it, just trying to be a human, isn't it? It's sensing either motion, it's sensing sight, or speech. So depending on the use case we are using it. So I started my career in the telco industry, Ericsson, Nokia, Siemens, and all that. And in the telco, we used to measure connections by humans. How many SIM cards do we want to have globally? How many people we want to have connected to the internet? So we say things like, we want 3 billion people to be connected by the year 2000. But now we don't say that. We say connected devices. So the target is that we might hit 30 billion connected devices by the end of this year. That means everything can be connected. From your fridge, to your chair, to your bed, I don't know, your washing machine, anything that is a device can be connected to the internet and controlled and make decisions as a unique entity. So a great example of ways people use it in their homes, your fridge, there's normally like a little crate thing for the eggs. If you have a sensor there that weighs, that knows when there's egg and there's no egg, it can track when your egg is half of the crate. That little sensor is like a chip connected to the internet. It can send a message to a store you're subscribed to. If it's Lagos, they say Eban or ShopRite. And ShopRite will come and deliver eggs. You didn't do anything, you just set it. To say, when this crate is half full, deliver eggs, and charge my card. So that's a great example of how we are using it. But just to put some real life examples there. But looking at the trends, you will see that things have not changed. I wanted to share this. This is 1986, Texas. Teachers were actually rioting that students should not use calculators. It won't make them smarter. How many people here will be happy not to use calculators? How many people? No one. I'm sure my engineers will say yes, they don't want that. This is not. But that's how we tend to see new technology. There's always an aversion, and there are reasons why, There's a belief that humans by nature, we have what we call necrophobia, like a phobia for change or fear of change. So we normally will fear something that we cannot control, that is uncertain. We will fear something that we do not understand, especially if it's happening too quickly. We tend to be afraid of things that it gives us an aversion of the loss. So think about my mother that has spent years learning how to use a typewriter, now has to learn to use a computer. So most people, that is already an aversion. They won't tell you, but they want you to stick to the typewriter. Why can't we type it? Go and use a typewriter. Submit your assignment by typing. Nobody wants you to do it with a computer. And time again, you see that happen. We know that even as per years ago, we still had people that didn't want to watch TV. They said it wasn't the great thing. And it's okay. Understanding of the times. I worked for a social media company, Facebook or Meta, for years. Even while I worked for Facebook, I had friends that don't use Facebook. And they will tell you they don't believe in social media. They don't even allow their kids use it. But let me give you an interesting story. So during my time in Ericsson, I had to work in Ghana for 4 years. So when I left Ghana, I came back to Nigeria. I was trying to adapt. I moved into a house and I had to furnish it. But I didn't really know like lots of vendors who would do this, because it's been like 4 years. Guess how I furnished my house? 80% of the vendors I used to renovate that house was from Instagram. I didn't know them. I would just go to their page, check the video. Is there any proof that they actually did this from scratch? Are there people that give him positive? 80% of the vendors, I didn't know them. I paid and they delivered. You see that with credit cards. Anything that has chips, we have an aversion for it. And it's okay. I don't think it's just human nature, like I said. But what we have found out, especially with emerging technologies like AI, IoT, blockchain, we don't fully know the impact. We don't. Whatever I tell you today is a pinch of salt of what is really possible. A great example is when we found electricity and when we even discovered internet. Do you know we didn't really cyber security experts? It didn't. Digital media, social media managers, it never existed in my time. All those things are new services. I'm telling you this because think about the men of Nsukka. You have to understand your times so you can position yourself. Business models that we are using did not exist in my time. In my days of telco, what we did, we make equipment, we sell to vendor. MTN makes a SIM card, it sells to you, you subscribe, isn't it? When you want to buy a recharge card, you buy and you load. It's transactional. They are making money from you, they know you. What happened when the social media guys came? They said, not to worry, we don't need your money. Just come, use everything for free. Emails, whatever you want to use on this platform is for free. We just want your data. We just want to get the money from the corporates, from the advertisers. You use for free. That's an entirely business model that disrupted even the telcos. The telcos did not know how to respond. Because while they were there charging you for calls, WhatsApp gave you for calls. Is it not for free? Did they charge you? Nothing. And people used to wonder how they make money. Advertising your data. They knew who you called, what you were chatting about. A great example I'll give you, I like to set goals. So there was a time I was trying to save money, so I set a goal, and I told myself, if I can save up to this amount, I will spoil myself. And guess what I thought I was going to spoil myself? I said I was going to buy a pair of shoes. So there's this shoe I thought I liked, so I went to the web, I checked it, I picked the color, I just checked the price, preparing my mind. This is the shoe I will buy once I hit that savings. And guess what happened? Everywhere I went online, this shoe followed me. If I open Google, there is the shoe. If I send an email, it's advertised there, the shoe is there. Even when I take my phone and I want to play, all this card game, solitaire, the shoe will pop up, just reminding me. They followed me everywhere. And I didn't tell them, I just went to the website just to check out that shoe. But that's really how they are monetizing themselves. So that's a new business model. We didn't used to do that before. So I think this first part, all I'm trying to say, looking at the trends and all, is becoming clear. Next slide. No? We passed this. This is how I see technology. Maybe because I'm an engineer. I like the knife up. I see it as a knife. Even though some of us are not great cooks. But a knife in my kitchen, think of what I can do to it. I can peel yam. I can peel plantain, slice it, fry it. I can use it for chopping onions, tomatoes. So it's a good tool, isn't it? The only problem is that knife, I don't want my kids, especially when they are below a certain age, near that knife. My daughter is 5. I don't want her touching this knife. Not at all. It's good for me, but it's not good for her. Then one thing with this knife is that it's good for me, for my husband, adults in the house. Once a bad person comes to your house, God forbid, like a thief came, you don't want a thief with a knife in your house. You know what that means? He's dangerous. And that's how I see technology. Technology is not bad. It's neutral. Depends on whose hands you find it. With somebody, that is potential to do good, it will be used for good. With someone with the potential to do bad, the jury is out what they could do with it. And that's why I really wanted us to think about this story I'm going to share. You all definitely know the story, but I thought it was a good way to frame this part. You know Joseph, I really love Joseph. I've studied Joseph again and again and again. Because I just used to feel, sometimes you're feeling sad, you're telling God, why do bad things happen to good people? Joseph is my man when I feel that way. So think about Joseph. He had this innate ability God had given him to have dreams and visions that occur. But the young Joseph, just like some of us, naive, he'll go around telling everybody. And he will tell his parents, see, in this my dream, all of you were bowing down. And it's not everybody that takes, it's just a naive guy sharing what he's been given. But to the brothers that felt insecure, they're like, no, this boy, he's not even fed. So he's just down the ladder. Who does he think he is? And they thought, do away with this guy. And they sold him. But you could still see the heart of Joseph. Even in Potiphar's house, when he landed, he still ended up rising to the top. Still good guy. Unfortunately for him, Potiphar's wife, changed the story. And I strongly believe that the only reason the guy did that was because he had to show that he was a man. I'm sure he knew that this is his wife. If you live with someone, you know their potential. I'm sure he knew that this, my wife, might be the culprit. But he would have told himself, what will people think of me, that a slave in my house is trying to attack my wife, and my wife said she was almost raped and I did nothing. So he threw the guy into jail. But he didn't stop him. That talent, that skill that God has deposited. And you see, somehow, you start to see the maturity. Because you see that even in jail, when the cupbearer and the butler had the dream, do you think it was Joseph that went and met them? He's like, why are you looking sad? What's happening? What's happening today? This is a guy that even there he has actually risen up in rank. So he doesn't necessarily have to go around checking people's faces. But I think he had actually evolved to become, to show empathy and sympathy through the things he has suffered. That he asked them. And of course they shared with him this their horrible dream. Which as usual, what did he do? He interpreted, isn't it? But there's something he did that you know that Joseph must have become humbler. He told the other guy, Biko, if you make it to the king's palace, don't forget me. And I felt, wow. Did he have to do that? He could have stood in his authority as the Son of God that knew he has been spoken to and he could have said, no, God would do it. But you could tell the humility is telling that guy, don't forget me. And as things were happening, the guy got there and the king had a big problem. And the guy realized that, oh, no, when I was in prison, there was some guy very good at telling dreams. Let us call this guy to come and help decode this dream. And they brought in Joseph. And you notice what he did first. The Bible says he shaved and preserved. You can see Joseph is now maturing, isn't it? He's understanding how to use the wisdom of his time. Then he shows up before this king. In every time he's been presented with an issue, he goes ahead and tells you this is what the dream means. He first tells the king that it's not me, Pharaoh. It is God that would interpret. But he goes ahead and interprets the dream. But it's something he did that made me realize he was now strategic with the tool. He didn't just tell the guy, this is what the dream meant. He told him, this is how you should respond to the dream. For the first time, he didn't tell you what the dream meant. He told you what the solution should be, isn't it? He told him not just you to 7 years plenty, 7 years famine. He said, you should actually save up during that 7 years of plenty. So that in the 7 years of famine, you would have what to eat. So that's strategy. That's insight. That is understanding how to use the tool. So if you didn't remember anything I said in the first phase, that's the summary of all I said. So I want to go and now really explain the framework I was talking about, how I want us to see the role and impact of technology. But I really thought I should really explain this fourth industrial revolution. We keep talking about all this things. I think sometimes they are too techy. So we have fragmented the way technology has evolved, and we gave it a name. So from around the 1700s to about 1820, human beings realized, why is it that if you want a bag or a clock, you have to go and line up? The guy will tell you, come back in a year's time before he will make it. They said, no, we could just have factories. We could divide the work into smaller bits, get a lot of people doing parts of the job. That's a factory, isn't it? And you can make more watches or more bags at the same time. And then we discovered steam engines. So we started making machines. And that's what we did in the first industrial revolution. Steam engines, factories. Then came a wave, we found electricity. And because we found electricity, we started doing assembly plants. That's when they noticed we could commoditize. Before, you have to, how they say it, you have to commission a painting. So you have to commission a car, you have to order. Now you had people that had assembly plants that would make 500 cars, different colors, pick what you want. And that's because we now discovered that we can take electricity and power machines. Then we discovered communication, phones. We could communicate. So that's all we did in the second industrial revolution. Then came the third. So the third industrial revolution, between around the 1920s up until about 1950s, we added what? Internet connectivity to it. So what did we do? We found out with the internet, with all these microchips, we could make computers. We said, wow, we could digitize everything. So now everything became digitized. We made computers not just for only the rich. Everybody can now buy a computer. Even if you have a child, once he hits 10, you buy him a tablet. Now we are in what we call the fourth industrial revolution. All those things have landed us with things like AI, IoTs, blockchain, robot. We have now started to simulate human intelligence. I say simulate because I don't think we are fully there. And put into this digitized system so they can now make decisions. You can give them questions, give them prompts, actions. They will do them and make decisions on your behalf. That is where we landed. Oh, our screen has gone. So that's where we landed with the fourth industrial revolution. So the 21st century we refer to as the fourth. But interesting things about the fourth industrial revolution is that things are almost, when I said technology can be disruptive, we have just blurred the lines and the boundaries. Before, you would say, I'm in this sector, I'm in that sector, I'm in this industry. Now we don't even know which. Who can tell me what sector Meta or Facebook is? Who knows? Is it media, advert, communication? Could you tell? Software company. They're everywhere. We blur the lines. Now you hear health tech, no longer healthcare. Because we start to apply technology, sectors can do more than they can originally do. So the fourth industrial revolution has just blurred a lot of lines. And that is what is happening because we are now applying things like AI, IoT, robots, blockchain. They're just biochemical. They're just blurring the lines. Sectors can do almost anything. You say somebody's job is power sector to generate power. Then it starts giving you tech. It gives you smart meters. That's technology. So that's what is happening with the revolutions, trying to explain that. But I think I should also explain the types of AI because I will be making some examples and I want you to understand. At this phase, we have gone through different phases since 2021. We have split it in simple terms into two. What we call generative AI and agentic AI. Please, I don't want to lose you. I hope it's not too techy. I don't want to lose you. But generative AI is what, how many people use ChatGPT here? I've used ChatGPT. Great, Copilot. Okay, DeepSeek. That is generative AI. So it's an AI where you have to prompt it. You need to ask. You say, okay, give me the statistics of students in UNN that are above this certain age. If I was going to talk to students in UNN above the certain age, give me topics. You are prompting it. In agentic AI, you don't prompt it. You give it actions to do. It is trying to be a human being. So you give it an action, it will break it into all the smaller actions it has to do and start to run all of them and do it. It's an example what your PA or your secretary or your assistant will do. that I am going to Nsukka, plan it. So my assistant already knows, first of all, I need accommodation. She'll figure out hotels closer to the venue. What time is the event? She'll find a flight that will allow me land, maybe rest before. What time will it close? Do I need a car? The assistant will do all that. That is what we are trying to do. With the Amazon Echoes or the Google, that is all they are trying to do with AI. So right now, it's getting to the stage, even for my young engineers, you don't need to write a code. You tell the AI, I want codes to do this, this, and this for a solution. It will take all those small decisions and come up with the end. So that's in a quick way what those two things are, but I just thought I should share that. Because I now want to talk about what we are seeing in different sectors. Next slide. Let's start with transportation. I thought that would be a good one. So, like I said, I will go vertical. I will talk about how we are applying it. I'm not talking about how we are building the system, just the applications we are using. So in transportation, next slide. Anybody? Oh, there was a slide before that. It didn't make it. I think my animation went. Do we know the guy that's running this company? Do you know what the board did for him early this month? They signed off that he can get paid $1 trillion in the next decade. That's 12% of the company. And all the goals they gave him, it just tied to all what we are talking about. The goal they gave him is that in a decade, he should be able to drive, self-driving electric cars. We all think that it hasn't come. It has come. Come to Lagos. People have EVs. So cars that only use electricity. They don't use diesel, fuel, nothing. Only electricity. You come back at night, you charge your car. In the morning, you drive off. He wants to hit 20 million of them. He wants to hit 10 million self-driving cars. That means cars that don't need a driver. Very, very common right now. Very, very common right now in the US. Waymo is a great example. That means you enter the car, there's no driver. It's like driving you wherever you are, but there's no driver. People don't like it because you can't control. You can't talk to the guy. But that's what technology has done. Because remember all those IoTs I talked about? So you can imagine if there's an IoT that can sense every car next to that car while it's driving, how fast they're driving, that can see using visual. An IoT that can sense human motion, so know when to stop. Someone is about to cross the road. Then drive the car, put it in motion. That's what they're doing. No driver. Put AI in it, human intelligence. How would the driver reason? So that's why we train AI. We train it with data from all humans to say, a driver like this on this road will do this, a driver like this in the night will do this, a very good driver when the weather is like this will drive like that. We train that software. Put all the things together, there you go. That's your self-driving car. He wants to do 10 million of that. He wants to do what he calls Optimus. Optimus are his robots. I think they're selling for about $3,000. So they look like humans. So the goal is that they'll become like your assistants in the future. Just like everybody has a tablet and a computer. Now you don't need it, you just need a robot. Acting like your assistant and doing everything the computer should do. Going around, carrying things for you, moving things. So he wants to do that. And he wants to also have about 1 million subscription of that. So you can actually subscribe for the service. I can own the robot or subscribe. That's how he's making that $1 trillion. He's going to end up being the richest CEO. Now, do you think he would achieve it? I personally think he will. I don't see, we can never tell, but I think he does. He has shown time and time again. If you ever heard of SpaceX, he's the only guy that's the CEO of like 3 or 4 companies at the same time. He's the CEO of SpaceX, Starlink. Anybody knows Starlink? This same guy runs Starlink, runs Tesla. A couple of companies, all their CEOs at the same time. But I'd like to use another example. Please, can you go to the next slide? Thank you. I don't know if you know what that is. That's what you call a monitoring or control room. Normally used to monitor transport. So, for example, you put cameras all around the city, maybe 141 cameras. They are checking all the cars moving. These cameras are long range and have the ability, remember IoT, to see at night and during the day. So we can pan the camera at the angles we want. Sometimes we mount them on cars as well to drive around. What does that mean? We can see cars going. We know when there's congestion at the bus stop. We can go send people there to reduce the consumption. We can see people. So if we layer it with AI, that means in this control room, while you're monitoring the traffic, you see, you can tell when there's congestion or traffic. You can also be scanning people's faces that drive into the cities using the camera. We call it facial recognition. It's just IoT trying to be humans. So we will scan and run it against a database of wanted people. So when we see them, it doesn't necessarily mean we'll go and arrest them, but we can follow them. You know everything I've told you now. Do you know where that example is? Anybody knows? That is Enugu. I was in Government House earlier this year, and the governor took me to the control center they have there in the Governor House. 147 cameras monitoring the entire Enugu city. And we tested it. Long-range cameras up to 10 kilometers. We said, pan it. We want to see that car down there at the entrance, one of the entrance into the state. Why is the guy parked on the highway? And they panned it close to the car. We could see the car. We're like, where's the driver? Pan the camera. Then they panned the camera. Then when we saw the driver, I said, no, don't worry. I was with my minister. Move. I'll come to that example. Because we found out the guy was urinating by the roadside. So we're not interested. But I'm just trying to make you see that this thing is not far off. So sometimes when we say Nigeria is far off, it's not. This was in Enugu I'm sharing. It's nowhere else. But another sector I would like to talk about is the educational sector as well. Charles, is he still here? Charles? Good, stand up. Charles is the winner. He runs the VALC project. I actually didn't know Charles personally. Yes. Charles runs the VALC project. So the VALC project is an EdTech system that does peer-to-peer learning. I'm sure Nsukka knows it. He has 3,000 subscribers from Nsukka. So I run a non-profit called Women and Career. We try to help startups in the EdTech space. And he signed up, and his startup won the winning prize. So why I'm trying to say that it can be used in EdTech, because we've been talking about how can he apply it. So you can apply it because AI has the ability to predict, adapt, personalize using data. You can do personalized learning. So think about the VALC project, the platform. We can personalize your learning. Just a bit about you. What are you studying in school? How many years have you been learning? What's your passion? What's your interest? How do you like learning? Do you like learning with music in the background? Do you like to learn in Igbo? Do you like to learn in Pidgin? Do you prefer? With that, we can actually personalize a curriculum for you. So don't think it's far off. These things are already here. I've been pushing Val. That should be the next thing he should do. Val, Charles, isn't it? You can sit. But I did this, so I went to ChatGPT. Next slide. No, not this. Next. Yes. So just to tell you how you can use ChatGPT. So this is me. I told ChatGPT. So the EdTech sector in Nigeria contributes about $185 or so million a year to the GDP. And I was telling ChatGPT, pretend you're a software engineer and you're going to build a model. So tell me, with this contribution, if we apply AI to the EdTech sector in Nigeria, what could be the growth in GDP? And you see, it modeled it for me. So there's the medium, low, and high. And if you then run that model against the students that could highly be affected, the best case scenario is that we could have 80 million students affected or impacted by AI. And I did that, I think I told it within 5 years, if I'm right. But see the impact on the GDP. It has the ability to increase this GDP. With a 30% adoption, we can get an increasement of about 3.5. It's just to tell you the economic value when students start to use AI in a good way. And I'm not talking about something that hasn't happened. Last year, there was a pilot for co-pilot for students in Edo State. So what they did is that after school, they made them, supported by teacher, train them to use that GPT-5, no, it was GPT-4, to actually learn some topics like writing and all that. And they were able to improve their understanding. And I think from my understanding, they saw an 80% improvement in terms of difficult topics like math and writing and English, and they only ran this over a 6-week period. Because with AI, you can actually personalize and adapt the preferred learning style, the best way to talk to the person, use examples that are relatable. So it was impressive. I'm saying this because it's not far off. Let's go to healthcare. I'm hoping I can give examples that are relatable. Ooh, healthcare, next one. This one, I would share this one because I had an example of this 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, when I came back from Dublin, I had to go for a checkup. I've been having some pain in my left ear, eye, and the left side. I've been having like a slight headache. So initially, I thought it was my glasses because I wear glasses. So I went and changed it. And I changed the glasses and the pain didn't go. So I went to see a specialist, like an ENT specialist. And they told me just to rule out, in case, I should do an MRI. So that's the MRI. And it was a horrible experience for me because I was already having discomfort in my ear and I was kind of sensitive to loud noise. Then they put me in this casing in my head and put me into that casing. Then they used sound waves. So they were, generating sound. So you can imagine for someone that's already uncomfortable, it was a very horrible experience. But anyway, the doctor sent me to this radiologist to do it. When after I did it, so these people do imaging. So the guy put it on a CD. So after taking all those images of mine, put it on a CD and said I should go and give it to the doctor. But the report will be available in a day, 24 hours. So me, I went back to the doctor and I gave him the CD. Guess what? Doctor was very upset. Why would he really just give him a CD to read? Why is he afraid to read? That's the guy's job. He should do a report and send him a report. I didn't want to get involved in the politics, so I called the health insurance company. I said, please, figure out what's going on between these two people, and just gave me the report. So they called the imaging company, and of course, they generated the report in 2 hours. Guess how they did it? So one of the things, if you notice about a year or two ago, people kept saying all over social media there will be no need for radiologists because of AI. Because if you can read pattern, which is what AI does, imaging of different people, train it, give it all the imaging of how women should look, women at a certain age, women with a healthy head or skull. With that, if you give it a new image, it can look at it and tell you, this person is okay, or this person has something. So people kept saying there's no need for these guys, they will lose their jobs. But guess what? That's not what happened. We even had more. Why? Because really what the platform is doing is just improving your productivity, which is like what computers do, isn't it? In the days of my mother, you have to type everything. It takes longer. You have to get paper. Today with computer, you can even talk and convert the voice to text and print it off a printer. In 1 hour, everything is ready. So that's what these things do. So that's what the guy did. So human beings just become a second opinion, isn't it? And it's really important for human agency because you will notice that this AI can make mistakes. So the guy will use the AI, generate the report, and now look at it. And from his own experience and expertise, he will give the final report. So we are tending to see that in medicine, drug discovery. They're using AI to determine when they want to do testing, drug testing, who will be the best sample, who are the people they should put in the drug test. So AI could help them. Remote patient monitoring, all kinds. In short, I was feeling very sad. So in my days in Meta, I started investing in startups. That's how I got interested in startups. Because I was interested in, helping the continent. And some of the startups I invested in are health tech startups. Some of them are not even Nigerian startups. But I woke up like 2 months ago and I was feeling very sad because I realized that a lot of them would have to pivot. You know what they were selling at that time, 4 or 5 years ago? AI can do it. So nobody's going to really pay for it. Wow, that's by the way. Agriculture. Let's go to agriculture. I love this one because I have good examples for you. You see this? There is a farm in Ogun State currently, 250 acres. We are piloting this. So you know what we do? We put IoT. You know what I told you about IoT? So this time around, the IoT is measuring the temperature of the soil, the humidity of the soil, the nutrients in the soil, and the water. How far you watered it, irrigation. We put it in 3 different layers in the soil, all around the soil, and these sensors are measuring almost 6 times a day. Now we, Nightcom, that's what we do. We provide connectivity, and we are good at providing internet connectivity where nobody else can. Because we use a satellite in space. We don't need cables or any of those things. So large farms normally struggle because nobody lives there. There's normally no coverage. So we go, we put coverage and put all those devices on the internet. So the farm owner can be in his house in Lagos and the farm is in Ogun State. Open an app. He can tell every day the water level, nutrient level. So he can respond. He can tell, oh, this soil in this part of the farm is lacking nitrogen, potassium. It's now time to put fertilizer, isn't it? He can tell you guys are not watering this part well. He can tell the temperature here is not good. And when he can tell all these things over a long period of time, he can actually predict the yield of the farm. He can predict the yield of the farm. He can predict the revenue at the end of the year. So he can tell, okay, I'll be able to harvest this amount of corn or maize. Or I'll be able to make this amount of money if I sell this amount per kilo. So that's what we are doing. And some of these things I'm talking about, next slide, is all around. Even, see, that's another way we use it. You see that cattle, there's a little tag on it. And we call it RFID. What we have in that is just embedded data. So we can tell you the type of cow it is, the day it was born, the breed, everything about it. We put a sensor around it, the IoT. So what the IoT is monitoring, the motion. And from the motion, we can tell if the cow is sick or healthy, because we know how many times it should move his head a day on average to show that it's eating. If it's not doing that, something is wrong with the cow. We can monitor the temperature, so we can tell, this cow is pregnant, not pregnant, is sick. That's basically what we are doing. And everything I'm showing you, go to next slide, it's not far off. That's the farm in Jigawa where I went earlier in the year, Alu Farms. And that's what they're doing. None of these things are far away using IoT. Go to the next one. The same thing, this poultry farm. Nobody manages the poultry farm. They only go to the next room and collect the eggs. Everything is automated. You know where the chickens are standing on? It rolls after a certain while to remove the droppings which they are collecting, isn't it? You see what they are eating rolls as well, motion, IoT, and make sure there's speed in the tray. Temperature is monitored, everything is monitored remotely. Nobody comes in there. Chickens are okay, just monitor it remotely. The eggs, as they lay them, it drops into a sliding tray, rolls down, into the next room, into crates. Your only job is to go and collect the crates. That is Alu Farm in Jigawa. Retail. I'm just trying to use this to explain to you. So you start to see the role and the impact. So it starts to make sense. Next one, retail. So retail, Amazon, it depends on which one you use, Juma. That, if you look very well, is my Amazon page when I open Amazon. If you look at it, you can tell a lot about me. So I have 2 kids. My son and my daughter, they are both in boarding school. So if you see that deodorant there, that's my son. It has the ability, because it's using AI, to look at my browser history, my shopping history, my demographics, and now suggest to me what I should shop or what I'm lacking. That's basically what it's doing there. My daughter's cream, my son, what he uses for pimples, what they use for their hair. My daughter has been playing violin since, I don't know, she was 5. And each time I buy the violin from Amazon. So it's reminding me, it's time to buy strings. Or it's time to buy the book. The same thing with the shea butter, what we use for our hair. So that's what we are beginning to see in the retail industry. Think about that shoe that was following me up and down. That's AI. But now it's going to be so pervasive, it will be available everywhere. Even you can write your own programs and use it. But how do I really want you to see all these things I've told you about the role and impact? One more story. We'll go to Kings, 1 Kings 3. It said that he is the wisest man on earth, Solomon. And the reason why he's wise, and I think for me, is because purpose was aligned with intelligence. And that's how I want you to see everything I've told you. I think the calling is for you to align your purpose with intelligence. You know, we're talking about using that tool for good. Can you use the tool to project and propel? I believe God, everybody has a purpose. There's a purpose God has created you, has called you. Can we, because of our understanding of the times, use some of these tools to project it? And I think Solomon was very good with it, and that's why he was said to be wise. Because even when he was asked in the Bible what he wanted, the only thing he asked for, he didn't ask for wealth, nothing. Think about it, if you ask some of us today, what do you want? You tell God all the things that you've been lacking. You know, so increased pocket money or a good job, whatever, a brand new car. Solomon asked for none of that. He just wanted to have a discerning heart. And I think if people saw and used technology in that way, we would have less problems. If you actually use it to propel your purpose, we would have less issues with social media. But let's talk about the concerns. Because there are really concerns. I want us to talk about it. You know, there's a lot of concerns. And I know I told you about, you know, what we don't know, what we cannot control, we are afraid of. But my sisters and brothers, some of them are real. You know, I told you about AI and retail and all these nice things I told you about. Interesting enough, it has the ability to create what we call job displacement. A lot of the jobs as we know it today would no longer exist. Initially, when it came out in 2021, we thought it was going to be blue-collar workers, so manual laborers. Oh, we're going to automate everything. They're all going to lose their jobs. Guess what? Next slide. That's Amazon. Earlier this month, 14,000 people they laid off. They were not manual workers in the factory. They were white-collar workers, middle managers, people that are used to making decisions. They will look at data submitted by their staff, and they will make a decision on what the next step should be. Write a memo. They told all of them to go. AI can do it for them. And there's a consensus. If you go to this is a lot of feedback from some of the CEOs in terms of what will happen. And there's a lot of, everybody has their own opinion. Some say, oh, we will just lay off people, change jobs. Others say, no, it's for productivity. But what is really clear, and what we have said, is that definitely it can improve, provide productivity, or make us more efficient, but it's definitely going to restructure the workforce, understanding of your times. So don't be shocked that before you graduate, we will be hearing things like GNI engineers, agentic AI engineers, no longer software engineers. How are you repositioning yourself? Companies are now being forced to retool and reskill. So just a quick example of some of the things happening. Some jobs totally will go, some will change, new ones will come. Understanding of your times, I think what is best is that you be aware. So job displacement is definitely one. Something else we believe that would really happen is already something they're discussing a lot about, is ethical issues we're having with AI. Next slide. Some of you might have heard of AI has hallucination. You know, I told you it was computational system. And engineers, we always like answers. So we feel every math problem, we need to get an answer. That's the problem with AI. Anything you give it. So it's garbage in, garbage out. It feels it has to give you a result, an outcome. And sometimes when it doesn't have, it creates a fictitious one and gives you. That's what we call hallucinations. So you can ask it something and say, oh, for this research I'm writing, give me references. It cannot find. It will create and give you. And then you go and submit and your professor will catch you. But it tends to hallucinate a lot. And that's why we say human agency is important. You always have to check it. Don't think it's the smartest thing. That's why it can never be better than the creator. Another thing we are seeing is deep fake. No, still here, deep fake. That is the last election in New Hampshire in the US. You know, now some videos you see, you're wondering, is this AI or is this real? You know, you're asking, that's what they did. Because we can do speech recognition, voice recognition, speech to text. People are simulating people's voices, using it on videos. So they're creating fake video of the president, telling people not to go and vote during an election. So next slide, please. So that's me. Do you know why I'm standing like that? They're looking funny the way I did my head. Because everybody he created their own. Each time I do, it will happen. And I figured it out, so I did my head like that. I was wearing braids. It doesn't know what to do with my braids because nobody trained it with African hair. So it ended up giving me what it thought was the best, Caucasian hair. It's all garbage in, garbage out. It's what we train it with that it will give. So think about it. If Christians are missing from the platform, we want to run away. What do you think will happen? Have you heard of woke AI? It's AI that pushes a certain agenda because the people training it are training what they believe is the best data. Because the people training it are training what they believe is the best data. That should be the best answer. So that's a big issue we're having. How do we ensure that the data collected is used safely? Who gives right? Who gives permission? Who should we share? You know the impact. Think about that self-driving car or electric car, because it means that my car vendor, whoever made my car, can remotely see the car for diagnostics, but they can collect the data. They can tell what my pattern is. Whether I drive the car to every morning, every afternoon, they can tell, oh, she goes there, that must be her house at the end of the day. She goes there, that must be her office. She always goes for fellowship on Wednesday, you know. And you know what that means? Is that if that data is in the wrong hands. So that's why we are talking a lot about data collection, data use, mass surveillance. But really, I think in everything I've said, is not to scare you, is to put those issues out there. I would like to say that, how do I think you should respond? Like I said, how do I want you really to respond? Times are changing, things are changing. I think it's important that you should educate yourself. Think about all those people I talked about, be it Joseph, be it Solomon. I don't think they were isolated. And the best way to frame it is to think about Daniel. If you go to Daniel 1 and read it, Daniel was not isolated. He was in a system that not necessarily was the best system he wanted. He was taken to Babylon. And Daniel, by the way, didn't really like what they were eating. Not that he didn't like it, I don't think he felt it was good for him and his friends. It wasn't aligned with what their faith thought they should be eating. But they were convinced he should eat it. And he tried to strike a deal. He said, you know what? Why don't I try my own way? After like a week, you can check, compare me, use all your criteria with the people that ate your food, and to see if it actually worked or not. And we know what the case was, isn't it? But I'm just trying to say that Daniel wasn't isolating himself. That, okay, because I'm in Babylon, I'm going to starve to death if they don't let me be a vegetarian. No, he was finding a way to work with that system because he knew what his calling was. And you could see that time and time again. Even when he got to the stage of him now being moved up, because it was clear that he must be in a different strata, you know. You could see time and time again that he was applying his understanding and wisdom to work in that system. And of course, he got to the stage that even though he wasn't liked, because people don't necessarily have to like you because you're a man of integrity or working on faith. Even the king felt sad because it was the king that said, okay, anybody that doesn't bow down to me, we're killing you straight. But then his good friend Daniel said, no, I draw the line here. I'm not bowing down. I'm going to pray as usual. And of course, they had to throw him to the den. You could see the happiness and the gladness that the king was even happy that he didn't die. He showed up the next day. Daniel was still alive. But I'm saying that it's clear that Daniel understood the system he existed in. He understood the trends and the insights, and he was using it to drive his purpose. That's even why when him and his friends, anything that happened, you could see he was applying that knowledge of trying to work his faith within the system he had to live with. Don't worry, my brother, we are done. We are done. So, I think if you don't remember anything I said, and all the things I said, please think of Daniel and his journey in Babylon. and how because we think that we have to work in a perfect system. I can only work for a government if the government is perfect. Everybody in the government are Christians. That's not how it works. Can you still work in that system and achieve your purpose? And I think that's what you should be asking God and what He's directing you to do. So if there's anything I would advise and leave you today, is please educate yourself. If it's people that work, we'll tell them to invest a certain percentage to educate themselves. Learn those tools. ChatGPT, Cloud, Perplexity. Please learn them. Learn them, train them. Train them with your own data. I'm open for questions.
Okay. Okay, so where are they? Mary Kelechi, please come. Ejina Winner, peace. Come, right away. And then Princess Izibo. If I've called your name, just come, so we'll take all the questions together. Okay, just straight to the point.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ejina Chiagozie. I'm computer science student, 300 level. I have to say I'm really impressed and very happy because of this conference, because AI and it's the future. And having a conference like this, especially CASOR, our fellowship, talking about this, it really gives us a lot of hope. So I have very few questions, just like she mentioned. First question is, if AI does, especially in the world of tech, just as you said, it's really something that, give or take, we really don't know to what extent it can be like. So what do you see about exposing AI to kids? Like, do you advise exposing AI to kids from a very young age, especially, to the fact that maybe they'll get familiar with it? Yes, growing up. Should I continue with other questions?
Oh, you have plenty of questions. Okay, go to the next one.
Okay, finally, it's more like a thought or something, but I was like, why does it feel like everything is kind of like being scripted? Because I remember while growing up, we used to watch movies like Terminators, and we saw some stuff that is, AI or robots did then. And do we have more like a cyber police or cyber protector kind of system that can be able to check what this AI, or put them in check? Because I think the godfather of AI kind of like resigned with, yes, I was seeing a documentary, he resigned saying that, AI is far more dangerous, that we don't know what we are putting ourselves. So is there a system where we can still put these things in check to make sure it doesn't go out of hand?
Thank you very much, my brother. I will start with the first question. I think the knife story kind of explains how I believe it should be. Like having a knife is good, but I don't want to give a knife to my 5-year-old. And normally what we do is that when they get to a certain age, you start to teach them how to use the knife. You just don't give it to them. You tell them, no, cut like this, hold it like this, never hold this part. Or, so you have to guide them, transition. Even when you let them use it, you always keep an eye, just to be sure. And I think that's how we should treat AI. But why we call it emergence, that is disruptive. So normally that's what regulators do. They come with regulation and policy on how it should be used. But when something is disruptive, it's running faster than the regulator. The regulator has to catch up. And that's what we are faced with. But it's clear that there's some age limit that shouldn't be using it. We haven't determined that. I don't think most countries are still trying to put policies. But I'll say, there's a level of, just like social media, if you feel your child at a certain age should not use it unsupervised, unless you have trained him how to use it, then I think you should apply that same logic to AI. Why regulators are trying to get there. So that's my personal belief. Then your second question is?
About cyber police.
Oh, cyber. So that's why we have cyber security. I told you that some of these things didn't exist because we now realize that the bad people are not even physical people. That's the list of your worries. It's the people that empty your bank account. You just wake up and it's gone. You don't know them, they don't know you. You just see that somebody is using your card everywhere. And you're wondering, where they get the card from? The last time I remember I was going to an ATM. you know. But I didn't give anybody my PIN. You understand? So that's why we are talking about cybersecurity. There's now there's a consciousness to be more aware in that virtual space, in that data space, and apply security measures. Because if anybody gets, because now data is now the new form of warfare. If anybody gets your data, to somebody that is meaningless, is meaningless. It just means I know it's your birthday. I just say happy birthday to you, my brother. But somebody, that data means something because he was born on that day. That means he celebrates birthday on that day. And I noticed from his Google footprint, every year on that day he goes here. So if we are looking for him, we should go there on that. Do you understand? That's what we're saying is now becoming important. That systems, anybody that is digitizing systems must put security measures. You want to know, now I'm sounding techie, which IP addresses go to the system? When they go, do they have permission? That's why we do double authentication now, isn't it? To log into social media, just your username. We said no. We also want one way to authenticate you. We want to send you a token on your mobile phone or a device you like. That's all cybersecurity measures. Because we are also learning that this thing is more than we thought. So yes, cybersecurity is really important. My computer scientist, I hope to see you soon as a graduated computer scientist.
Okay, good afternoon, ma, and thank you for this wonderful lecture. Okay, my name is Emmanuel Kenechimiri. I studied linguistics.
Emmanuel
Kenechimiri.
Okay.
I studied linguistics. My question is, I'm trying to narrow my field down to computing languages as codes, to become codes. But at first, we have to learn linguistics and be sound. And then with the pace at which everything is moving, it's more as if I want to catch up with this area, to be good in this area, that is the tech area. To be good there so I can bring in my field and the rest. And looking as if these people are running like ahead of me. And then it becomes too limited to get access to some things. So what do you think is the best approach to that kind of situation?
Kelechi, they're running ahead of everybody. Don't worry. Don't be under pressure. Just be learning it. Because we need it. A great thing about AI is that it is invasive. I believe at some time, just like everybody has computer, AI will be everywhere. Everything you touch, even linguistics. They're looking for people like you to train the models because we don't want all those machine language. You know how you play some of those audio, like this sounds like a robot. They want the accent, the inflection, just like the natural language provider. But it's people like you that understand the linguistics, the pedagogy, the grammatical language that can train those models. That's why you should learn it. Because you should have a say on those platforms. So if you are thinking about confused, please learn your linguistics and please learn the AI. They are all going to be blurred. In future, it will all be one. I know people training, now I'm sounding techy, language models, looking for linguistics people to train those models. Because they want the models to sound like the actual natural speaker, not like machine. To create a sentence that will be in the dialect of the speaker. The best person to train those models, people like you. So nobody's running far. You'll catch up. Just be learning it. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Mar. My name is Gosgilt Ambrose. I am a 200 level computer science student. So I wanted to ask, you work in the telecommunication sector, and then I feel like personally, we Nigerian students or African students do not have so much, like we don't have an edge compared to the Western students, right? They have things are easier for them. I mean like learning and every other, because I'm a computer science student and then I write C++ code on the board, and most of my classmates don't have like laptops to, you know, write the code and test it. So how do you advise that? And then buying data and subscribing and learning, you were emphasizing on self-development. Like buying data and all these kind of things are very expensive for we Nigerians. And then you are wondering who is using your data, because you buy 10 gig and it's supposed to be for 1 month, and then you end up using it for 1 week, and it's so crazy. Because I tell myself I should have bought a Benz by now if I was not buying data.
My sis.
So, how do you advise we Nigerian students to develop ourselves amidst everything that's going on, because we don't have too much edge like the Western students.
What's the name again?
God's gift, Ambrose.
God's gift. God's gift, do you have a phone?
Yes, my dog.
Which SIM card are you using?
Etel.
So you can get data.
Yes.
Okay. You know what I want you to be? A Joseph. Now I told you why does bad things happen to good people. When they took Joseph, did he do anything wrong? Did he sleep with the lady? No, he didn't, isn't it? But he was still jailed. Did he go crying? Oh my word, this is so bad. Good people like us, what did I do? Nobody even wanted to listen to my own side of the story. They just put me in jail. He didn't. He started creating impact even in the jail. Where did he find himself? In the palace. I say this because you could choose one to be a victim or not to be a victim. You do have an edge. You have a level playing field because of the internet. You can be anywhere. Nobody needs to know whether you're using a phone, a tablet, or a computer to write a code. And you can still learn and write a code. Don't let that excuse stop you. You know when I got my job in Facebook, do you know how I got it? Social media. I used to write articles on LinkedIn about the work I was doing. Everybody was jackpotting. That was not my plan. I was working in Nigeria, and I was offered to come and do the role. And they offered to relocate me. They would find you. Don't let that panic, hold you back. Do what you are meant to do and keep. Even though you feel you're shortchanged, you will be shocked. It will make you grow faster. You see, like Joseph, you would have honed that skill. Now, by the time you get to the palace, it's not telling them what they should do. It's how they would solve the problem. Is that okay?
Okay, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
My name is Ezebo Princess. I studied English and Literary Studies. So, ma, you have already answered most of my questions.
Thank you.
But I want to ask one more question. Since AI is growing and is becoming vast, what is the place of human beings in the next 5 to 10 years?
Princess, do you truly believe that AI can take over humans?
Not completely, no.
That's what is scaring people. So I always believe that you cannot be better than your creator. It's like humans saying that they want to be God. He created us. You can never be God. And that's how I feel about AI. We could try. You see, I told you how it's hallucinating. It's garbage in, garbage out. It's what you train it with, it will give you. Even when we claim that it can learn, it learns with the data set. You know what it doesn't know? Is what you are good at. Creativity. Insight. What will make you princess? You will see something. You say, no, today, I don't want to take that road. But this is the shortest road to go to class. And you say, no, you don't know why. If people actually say, I just had something in my spirit. I just felt some certain way. I decided to take this way. And that's the day you take that way and maybe something good will happen. That is what they call insight or your spirit man. People use different language. It's only God that can give you that. AI doesn't know that. It has to read logical data. It has to read a pattern. That is not a pattern. That is what we call in engineering fuzzy logic. We don't understand. It's an abnormality. The trend says this, but you chose to do that. That's the part that AI can never do. And that's what makes you human. And that's why we say no matter what AI does, human beings, think like those radiologists, have to look at the data because your ability to make decision learning is higher than the machine. Because you can look at some insight and for some perceived knowledge we cannot explain, you will tell us, this doesn't look good. And you cannot logically tell us why, but we will find out that you were right. So that's why, even though we talk about getting to super intelligence, I don't think AI can. No, not yet. It can't.
All right, thank you so much, ma. Good afternoon, ma. My name is Peace Madwike. I'm a 400 level student of political science. As I was sitting there listening to you, I just became even more proud to be a CASORite because this kind of value is what we get for so much money. And you've answered majority of my questions, but I will just ask one. You talked about training AI as Christians. So there's something we hear as believers, especially me. You hear things like, don't use AI for only academic work, for creative work, but don't use it for spiritual things because it's from the devil. So how exactly can we train AI as Christians? Do we engage it with scriptures? Maybe like how exactly can we train AI as Christians and use it, you know, effectively maximize it as believers and use it to influence our world?
So, some of the things I talked about is reading pattern, isn't it? It's reading pattern, using pattern to make decisions. If it reads your pattern, it will think like you. If you're a Christian, it will think like a Christian. So it's what you put in, you will get out. If there's nobody, a good example, when the Google Assistant came up, the Google Assistant? So my brother-in-law had one. And you can just talk to it and it will give you answers, search on the internet. So he was asking it, I think he asked it, is Jesus Lord? Then the assistant said, no, there's nothing like Jesus. And there's nobody like a Jesus that is something like that. This was like 7 years ago. But if you go and do that in ChatGPT, it will give you a whole sermon on why Jesus is Lord. Why is it giving you a whole sermon? Because somebody put it there. That's all I'm asking you to do. Go and put it there. If you put it there, people would have it. If you don't put it there, they wouldn't have it, and they will have what you don't want to be the answer. So it's still back to my kitchen knife story. It is a knife. Who do you want to give the knife to? If there are many Josephs that have the knife, maybe the story will be different. Because when it was now time to free the brothers, who helped? It was Joseph during famine. Because then you have been sent for that time. And that model has been trained and will not give wrong answers. So maybe tomorrow when my kids are typing it, it's like, no, Sarah. Based on Christian values, this is what is obtainable if you do what you're about to do. The only reason it did that because you, my dear sister Precious, had put there that as a Christian, these are core values we live by. Do you get it? And that's all we are saying. It's a tool. Let's not be afraid of it. Let's not leave it to the hands of the wrong people. Let's take up that tool and use it so that tool starts to do what it's meant to do. Thank you very much.
Okay, so, Ma, indulge us in one last question.
One last question,
yes,
okay.
I really want to ask the question.
Oh, you?
Yes,
Okay.
I want to ask a question from the perspective of a staff of the university, a lecturer actually. Now, there have been all kinds of responses to AI. Let me introduce myself first. Chimezi is my name, Chimezi Odioye. I'm a lecturer in the Department of Counseling and Human Development Studies in the Faculty of Education. So, different members of the academia have different disposition to AI. For some people, it is clearly outlawed. If they see you that you do anything, any part of your work with AI, they will mark you down. While some other ones are a bit more open to it. And like you've said over and over, AI is running ahead. A few weeks ago, there was a paper that was published in a highly rated journal, and then it was said that the paper was completely put together by AI. And then it went through all the reviewing and all of that, and it was fully published as what any other researcher could have done. So just by way of general, just to know your idea on it, what do you think academics should do with AI?
I think here I would make an appeal because it's back to the calculator story. In the 80s, we said really the teachers like this would just make students lazy mentally. Today, it will be unfair if the students, they cannot do the higher mathematical function. It's what we call pi. Pi is an infinite number. Like if you have to write the whole numbers for pi in an exam, the exam will be over and you're still writing pi. Calculator will help you round it off and keep that part while you solve the problem. Because it's forcing humans to go to a higher level of reasoning. So you reason the more complex thing. And the basic function, let the machine solve it. Now to my lecturers, it's now an appeal. Someone called me last night from AWS, Amazon. And he gave me a profile of people that they are looking for. And you already know what, all those things I told you. They're looking for people with Gen AI capability, no matter how small. Agentic, no matter how small. They don't want 5 years experience, 10 years experience. A couple of months they will collect. And they were asking me to refer. I say this because one of the things I've found, especially for schools like Nsukka, that is way off, is that we are not preparing our students for the marketplace, for the industry. It will be unfair if you shield them and they get there. You know, like in my days, they used to say one of the criteria for recruitment is that you can use a computer. So think about it, you didn't even have a computer in your school. You didn't have access, and they're telling you that they even want to do the test for the job on a computer. And you don't even know how people will spend the whole night trying to learn a computer. And they were very smart students. Some of them made first class, but they were running against time. They were coming back and trying to learn. And that was a lag. These were people that would have just hit the workforce. And before you know it, they're running the place. And that's how I feel about AI. That's my appeal. We can put cautions. Remember I told my mother, don't copy the thing verbatim. We're not saying be mentally lazy. You can use it. At least learn to use the tool. You can use it for research. But don't outsource your entire brain to the tool. Because we've already told you it even has issues. It's still in the early stages. It's hallucinating. We have issues with data privacy. We have so many issues with data collection, ethical issues. So we're not saying outsource your brain. But please use it, because very soon, when I put out a job post, I won't say I'm looking for a software engineer. I'm looking for agentic AI engineers is what I'll be putting out. I won't say I'm looking for computer scientists. I'll say I'm looking for Gen AI engineers, generative AI engineers. That will be what I put. I will say I'm looking for accountancy, base requirement, ability to use generative AI. What is going to happen to our students? They will not stand a chance. They will now graduate and start paying 100K, 200K to some guy in the roadside to come and teach them ChatGPT and all that. So that's my plea. I think there's a balance. You know, we're not saying outsource your entire intelligence, but there are ways you can use them and use them productively, because we want to prepare them for the workforce. That is my ask.
Please, can we keep clapping until she gets to her seat? That is extremely wonderful. I dare to say that this is the true definition of achalugo. An achalugo whose all her achalas are working. The brain, the spirituality, everything. Please keep clapping, keep clapping, keep clapping. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. From that lecture, you will almost find it difficult to pin down her area of training, because she cut across very many different fields. I would have asked my own question, but the lecture is already over. I would have asked, how will pastors or preachers of the gospel use AI in the advancement of the gospel? That's a personal question for personal people. Thank you. All right, while the lecture was going on, our own very staff advisor from the Faculty of the Physical Sciences, Professor Oziri Ukoha, walked in. Prof, please, you can greet the people. Thank you. Thank you. All right, while the lecture also was going on, there walked in the icon of development and strategic placement of the university in a global status, the person of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nigeria, and the person of Professor S.U. Otwanya, ably represented by Professor Kasmia Ibokwe, who is the Director of Scholarship and Grant Directorate, the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Prof, you may just wait for now. You will be called up shortly. All right. Thank you. Next in our schedule is another citation. But because we have done a previous one, we may not have to repeat it. And you saw that our Chalugo was standing on her heels, so we may not have to keep her standing for a long while. But can we all, with glorious thanksgiving, say to Engineer Jane, thank you very much, ma. All right, please permit me to allow her seat while I go through this citation in a minute, because the entire house of CASOR, the student part and the alumni part, will be awarding her a kind of award that you want to hear. So, ma, please permit me, and then please take your seat. Once again, you remember that we said that Engineer Jane Egerton-Idehen works. She studied. But from her lectures, you will discover that there is a motherliness that is guided by some firmness. She is soft and at the same time very strong. Her words were piercing our hearts and not about to leave. And she also made herself a typical, or made us know that she's a typical teacher in the tradition of the great teachers of the world who use stories to drive in what they are teaching. You remember the Issachar, understanding the times. You remember Joseph, adapting to the times. You remember Solomon, remaining true to your own time. And then you remember Daniel, remaining strong and adaptable in different climes. Thank you so very much, ma. Then the knife also, it can kill, and it can also peel your yam for your pounded yam. Thank you, ma. Thank you. So, Engineer Jane Egerton-Idehen is, for us, a representation of effective combination of many things: family, profession, spirituality. If I had also the time to ask the question, I would have said, ma, how do you put all of them together and you are succeeding and none is leaking? Thank you. Then she also inspires us to begin anyway. For us to see or hear that she graduated from the Faculty of Engineering here as recently as 2001 and has grown to this international stardom is something everybody will make her their prayer point. Thank you for showing us the pathway to begin and keep pushing. Then I want to present to everyone here CASOR's paragon and beacon of inspiration. Ma, please, I will request you stand again. And while she's standing, I will call upon our father, our great father, Uncle Nkem Chima. That's how I will introduce him because of my rank. Then to come up, and I will also request our dear international coordinator of the CASOR Alumni Forum in the person of Mr. King Jaja. Thank you. So please, two of you can be coming up with the... Please come up. Ma, you can now walk up to the stage. Thank you. Keep clapping, please. Keep clapping.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I hope you guys know that the kind of lecture we have had this morning, afternoon, is what companies pay thousands of dollars to send us across, because I worked in telco as well when she was in Nokia and Ericsson supporting us. So I know it's going to be on record, but we are privileged to hear it when it is not, has not gone through internet. We are proud of you. I used to tell my daughter, who is unfortunate, smarter than me. I used to tell her to emulate Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, emulate Chimamanda Adichie, emulate this, emulate that. But today, I'm proud to say I have a CASORite that I will tell my daughter to emulate. yeah, it's a thing of pride, because my children, they know me and they know CASOR. At some point, they were becoming jealous. Why are they all calling you daddy? Okay, so we are presenting this award to you to show you how proud we are of your achievement. Not only that we are achieving, but you have kept to what we believe as ambassadors, and you are still showing the love, and you are still making a recognition openly to the whole world that this is your family. So this is a Beacon of Inspiration Award. It's being presented to Engineer Mrs. Jane Egerton-Idehen by CASOR UNN on this day, 14th November 2025, on the occasion of our Golden Jubilee reunion, in recognition of your feats of inspiration to CASOR and to the body of Christ. I will hand it over to our father to present to you.
Praise the Lord. Praise Jesus. Yeah, CASOR makes this great presentation to you. You're an amazing ambassador. We will love you to heaven and back. In Jesus' name, everyone.
If your hands are still working, please keep clapping. Yeah, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. This is glorious. Can we rise up, everyone, for the Nigerian national anthem? We did only the university anthem the other time. Rise up for the Nigerian national anthem.